so, I heard or read someone say that he or she was giving a opportunity for retirees and elder citizens to do creative writing, to write poems and plays and so on and so forth. And what she discovered is they wanted to write memoirs. And it just hit me that that's the kind of thing that happens. Have no fear, I'm not going to write a memoir or to speak in that direction. But there is that whole business of retrospective thinking that happens on such an occasion. You can't help it. And how some of I've been at this a long, long time, some decades now. And you've all heard about the various places that I've been. And I thought that what I would do is just, for the fun of it, this is really a big, long thank you note. And I would go back over my career and give you a kind of snapshot of the kinds of people I need to thank in groups as much as I can categorize them, because there's so many. The first thing that came to my mind as I thought about this occasion was the phrase, and gladly would you learn and gladly teach it. Gladly would you learn and gladly teach. That used to be a line you wrote when somebody retired or did something great or what have you. That's Chaucer, Robillard, the clerk of Oxford. I'm invoking that line not as an encomium, but a description of what I think I am or have been. Somebody who loved to learn and loved to teach. And so that what I'm going to curse here is the thank you of the people who made that possible, or with whom I engaged in that endeavor. There's another thing. The clerk, so Chaucer says in the prologue, is very, doesn't care about his clothing, well that doesn't really describe it. But he's very, very proud of his 20 books. And some clad in black and some in red. It's quite a wonderful passage. And I keep thinking, I wish it were only 20 books. As I go through my bookcase and say, what can I take to New York? I'm in some ways, I think it's so especially lucky that I am graduating from Emory, where I took my PhD, because had it happened at Rochester or someplace else, what I'm going to say in my first thank you would have made no sense to anybody. Because the first thank you is to the ILA. That program, newly conceived, I was certainly the first woman, that was the first graduating class. The education there made it possible, my strange career. It encouraged interdisciplinary study and dedication to the liberal arts. If you look at the years and do some arithmetic, this is Sputnik. This is a time, very much like our own, when people are very much afraid the liberal arts and the arts in general are going to die. And Ernst Colwell devised this program to get some people to dedicate their lives for the preserving of that part of the academic world. And encouraging the students in this kind of way, it led to the ability to just do anything, or to try anything, or interface with all kinds of disciplines. And so one could, as I did, find yourself, my God, teaching music theory, art. How did I do that? And this final leap into theater, which was perhaps the craziest and the most wonderful of all of my leaps off of cliffs, all of which I think came from the courage to join the ILA to begin with. Can you imagine? There was no program like it. When you graduated and went to the market, so to speak, who the hell were you and what was that? There were even very few conflict programs. So it was really an act of stupidity or courage or who knows. And so there were groups of people who fill in this portrait or this world of mine that I've lived in the academy, in the academy. I want to start with the students and just describe them, because I think it's kind of fun, the kinds of students I dealt with. And we could start with my students at Northwestern University, which, remember, in the 50s, were a uniformly clad bunch of Northwesterners in beige raincoats. But sprinkled amongst them would be this giant of a guy who had just left the Marines and had been recruited for football. And they were my favorite. They really were wonderful, wonderful people. And then to Chicago, and how to describe the strange birds that happen at the quadrangles of the University of Chicago. Everyone a personality, everyone a quirk, so bright and so off-center. It was quite wonderful teaching in the humanities program there. And being involved in that interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary art music program. Then to the Eastman schools. And Eastman students, as you can imagine, so magnificently talented and so focused. And they would take my courses in Shakespeare or Western literature and translation and throw themselves into it because they were, damn, that's great. All they worried about at the end was their performance for their master teachers, so they didn't care what you threw at them. Well, I threw at them Shakespeare, and it was Shakespeare. Somebody said to me, "Are you teaching Shakespeare for musicians?" I said, "There is no Shakespeare. Shakespeare, and there are musicians." That's the way it goes. But the Great Books course, you know, the Western literature, I was, over the years that I've taught it there and here, something of an idiot, because I could not teach excerpts, you know, these anthologies with little bits of. So my poor kids went through the whole of Don Quixote, part 1 and part 2. And there's very few people out of Hispanic letters whose efforts were and it came to be known as the Fat Books course. And I still am in touch with some of those students, and certainly many of the faculty persons, to get the fun for me to be working with faculty who were great instrumentalists, wonderful singers, wonderful composers. It was just, you know, delicious but difficult and scary. Then there were the earnest and eager and just plain nice undergraduates of the U of R and Emory General College. But when I get to Emory, I have to concentrate, of course, particularly because most of the teaching, well, but a couple of courses is going to the theater students. And how would I characterize that? Okay. As with these students, they had talent and a diversity of talent and temperaments. Some of them very serious, and some of them absolutely zany, off the wall. Some reserved, others bumptious. I mean, they're just a mixture of temperaments. I don't think you can ally it even with the particular discipline, whether it was, you know, acting or design. But they too labeled the course. I think they may have labeled it when Michael first devised the course. The Aesthetics and Criticism course, which has been alluded to, is called ASCRIT. That's the way it comes out. ASCRIT. But I had to collect this diversity of students who were learning the business of professional concentration and turn them into devotees of Kant and Hegel. And it was such fun at the end of the semester when they began to get it and to be so proud of what they had attained. Here and there, over the course of these years, graduate students doing reverse things. Some, from teaching at St. John's, that strange college in Maryland, and one of my students is at Krakow in Poland, teaching contemporary theater. Now, that is a very broad picture the students, my colleagues, so many institutions, just the names you can imagine people I ran into. You can imagine the kinds of intellect that I encountered, what I learned just by being amongst them. From, okay, because it's, I cannot name them, and it would be unfair to even single them out. Excuse me. It's just that there is something about changing my role that allowed me to be involved with people who were either inventing intellectual history at the University of Rochester. It's just a wonderful history department. The composers at Eastman, all of these kinds of things that I came to try to absorb, to learn, that part of the learning appetite that was fostered here and continued. So there are too many colleagues in each of these institutions that you name. But then when we get to Emory, my first position in the graduate school, George, who you've already witnessed, is who he is. He taught me how authority is best deployed with reason and eloquence. That it is the combination of those skills that make a great leader. Eleanor, we miss all of us so dearly. She was a font of Emory's history. I don't know who stands in for Eleanor in that as now. But what she taught me is, if you want to get something to happen, there's always a way. It was Eleanor who had that kind of push. Never saw such a magician with budgets as Eleanor was. Well, hence, out of this, tattoo became possible. Without their force, their double kind of skills, and the Beckett Project. And that Beckett Project, I've never gotten to know Lois, Marty, and their cohorts in that whole project. In theater studies here, I really feel that if I were to enumerate from whom I learned design, from whom I learned directing, from whom I learned lighting, from whom a whole vocabulary, that I would spend so much of my intellectual career writing about drama, nothing about practical theater. I had to learn everything. And better teachers one could not have had. And the excitement, the scariness of moving into a world of practice and watching what it takes. Of course, I respected, but I was scared skinny. Really, my goodness, how do you dare do this? Well, I lay daring once again off a cliff. Why not? So what if I flop? But I had to try it. And I really fear that it would be, everything from even property management to, things that I had no idea what it meant backstage. This is the physicality of everything, and it was so exciting. But I do really have to instance two faculty people with whom I interchanged so many hours and so much working. Tim, who's spoken to you, I brought team teaching. What I learned about what it means, not just to have acting exercise, but to lift a script into being, to lift a moment, what it takes to take just 2 minutes in Shakespeare and make them live. I learned from Tim. And then again, I think our dialogue got so Tim that we didn't know which voice was dramaturg, which voice was talking about acting moments. There was this wonderful harmony of exchange that we had. And then Michael.